I'm so tired of people saying that it's just a movie, it's just a comic book, it's just a TV show. No, it's not. Stories are the building blocks of our culture, of ourselves, even of our own psychology. We are a product of the stories we tell ourselves about our own past and the experiences on a daily basis, but also the stories that we choose to spend time with. What types of values, our feelings, or whatever are they promoting? What types that we like to spend our time around? They're going to shape us. They're going to shape our personality and character, and they're going to shape our perception of the world and the acts and behaviors that we put out into the world. And people don't understand that. They go, it's just a movie. It's just this. I can like and promote whatever I want. Well, of course you can, but you should pay attention to the responsibility that you have.
Consume stories responsibly.
As a member of society, as a human being, responsibility to yourself.
Consider the consequences.
You need some balance. You need some certain criteria that is going to make sure you're promoting the right kind of works, or at least have thought through the type of work that this or that story is going to do in our culture, and then make your own decision whether or not that's something you want to support.
Consume stories responsibly. Consider the consequences. Consume stories responsibly.
Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another Office Hours live stream. I am going to try to hang in there as long as I can tonight. I'm not feeling so great. I've got I don't know what's been going on the last couple of weeks. Just having these off and on like dizzy spells. Like really bad too, actually, occasionally. But I'm pretty good right now. Just feel it kind of baseline, you know? So I don't know. Doctors are running tests and stuff like that. Who knows? But it's just more annoying than anything else. There's no pain or anything. It's just like, whoa, the world is spinning suddenly. But so anyway, if I happen to like suddenly sign off abruptly tonight, I'm okay. It just meant like it suddenly came upon me, and rather than have you guys watch me go, you know, I just killed the stream. So that's what happened if that's the case. But welcome to everybody who's here. I do believe Ghost Planet Max Inc. was here first. So welcome to you, Ghost Planet Max Inc. And then I see Enzolo came in. Enzolo says, in before Ghost Planet Max Inc.'s wall of text. But don't you worry. We got Ghost Planet Max Inc.'s wall of text. He told us his thoughts on things. So good to have you guys here. Private Eye, welcome. Imaginative Hobbyists. Electric Barbarella. Stephen M. Big Al Presents popping in to say hi. Final Fantasy fan. Ace Moic. Good to see everybody here. Studio Super. Greetings from your lair. Joel says the flu. No, it's not the flu. I mean, other than just like a little congestion, which is kind of like normal for me nowadays. I don't like allergies or something. No, there's no fever. No, you know, sneezing, blowing nose or anything. I don't know. It's been going on for a while. At first, I was like, you know, you're terrified at first. It's like, oh my gosh, am I having a stroke? You know, and I went to the emergency room and everything, and poor Sound Engraver's terrified, worrying and everything. But they did all these tests and everything, and nothing was conclusive. So I'm going back to my own doctor soon, and we'll see what's going on. But yeah, I wouldn't have mentioned it at all. Just it's a little precarious tonight. So just in case I have to be like, guys, I got to go by. Click, you know. Didn't want you guys thinking, oh, what happened to Prof? You know. So all is well. Let's see. Something there. Thought I missed something in the chat there. Yeah, the cold and flu season has been rough. Poor Sound Engraver is down with a cold right now. But I'm okay. This weird congestion is just kind of like, it's almost par for the course. Over the last few years, and I think it's just allergies. Whenever the seasons start to change, and we've had that unseasonably warm weather, and then popping into the freezing cold again, you know, around here quite a bit, back and forth. And I think that's just got some allergy stuff going on. The guy says vertigo. No, they don't think it's vertigo, because vertigo is like a person who, you know, think Count Vertigo from the comics, right? You're trying to walk, but like you're trying to walk straight, but you keep walking this way because there's like stuff in your inner ear that's knocking around and whatnot. My dizziness is not like that. My dizziness is like, oh my gosh, I'm going to pass out if I don't sit down immediately. It's that kind of like, blackout lightheadedness. I haven't blacked out, but that's what it feels like. So yeah, it's a mystery. I need to go see House. Dr. House will know. Okay, so Stony Graver says no stream tomorrow. She's got that cold. So we're good. Yeah, a lot of people are getting that cold, sick flu, cold and everything. My niece has had it pretty badly this last week. But luckily we dodged that. After Sound Engraver and I had that bout with like the flu and then bronchitis and all that, man, we're done. We paid our dues for that. So all right. I got a couple reviews tonight. Let me get to the reviews first, I think. Then we can chat about things in general if you want, but I want to get the reviews in for sure so that I can cut those out as their own videos. I haven't read a lot of, well, I've read a lot this weekend, this week, but I haven't finished too many things, so I just have 2 reviews for you right now. But I thought it'd be good, the reason why I give these reviews is so that we can talk about, alternatives to consuming the new content, the new garbage movies and television shows and everything that they're making. And we are seeing change, and that's good. I mean, especially if you're a Trump supporter like I am, you're super happy about the change that's going on and how it might affect the entertainment media ultimately. I mean, I don't follow a lot of stuff like this, but I saw something about the Kennedy Center. And Trump had it like, the people in charge of it fired and replaced because they were some of the ones doing like the drag shows for kids and stuff like that, So this kind of no quarter for your woke nonsense is wonderful, and it's actually, it might start we might start seeing some tangible effects at some point on our entertainment industry. But I think just to say, oh, it's great now, it's going to be fixed, can't wait to see the next movie, that's way too premature. And I'm already seeing people think that way about the Fantastic Four movie. Oh, it looks so good. It's just like the first comics, and it's in an alternate universe. So it's blah. No, guys. please don't be naive. If Hollywood turned around a little bit here and there, it's not on any kind of permanent basis. Because as I've said before, the woke cancer is so deeply ingrained in the Hollywood industry that, even people who are trying to say that, oh, Fantastic Four will be okay, it'll be okay. Yeah, while they give you that with one hand, the other hand's giving you the next Avengers movie with all the garbage characters and the diversity replacements and all this kind of stuff, And even if they trot some people back, they'll do what they're really good. They're like Hydra, as I've said before, they're like Hydra hiding within S.H.I.E.L.D. Hydra hid within S.H.I.E.L.D. for decades upon decades, and no one knew at all the difference because they kept their head down, they remained quiet, but all the while they were working their little machinations silently. And then eventually in the teens, 2000, for the woke, my analog to the woke hiding in Hollywood, I mean, this past decade, they just took control hard and in our culture and bullied anybody who dared not like them. Just as a side, let me go ahead and say a big screw you to YouTube and Google, who put a community strike on my channel for hate speech, for daring to say that there are only 2 genders. You're born a man or a woman, and that's it. And a trans person is somebody with gender dysphoria who we need to give help to in their mental condition, not help mutilating their bodies. Hate speech! And, Trump's coming for you too, suckers. Deal with it, Google and stupid YouTube community guidelines. Anyway, where was I? I got off on a tangent on that. So we're seeing some, maybe some of this stuff could eventually have long-lasting effects, but it's a real mistake. Don't just suddenly get on board because one movie in their cinematic universe isn't quite as woke as the other one, or as I say before, people are going to want you to. They're going to want you to stay plugged in, stay paying attention to them, so that we can talk about it and we can do all this. Keep turning your head away from it, which is why on my channel I do a lot of reviews of great older stuff, so that we can just look at good stories that aren't trying to give us ideologies from any side of the political or philosophical or religious spectrum or whatever. We're looking at good stories, and that's what I look at. So Studio Super, thank you for the super chat there. Said, oh yeah, USAID was uncovered. I know, that was ridiculous, the things they were covering. They were finding attempts to fight counterculture stuff like Gamergate and such. They were funding journalists to fight them and smear them. Yeah, between the USAID and Politico, I mean, there's way too much corruption that came up for anybody to hide from it. Like, you can't... The woke Democratic factions in the media, they're already retreating back into this little narrative like, well, we're for the people, guys, and that tyrant there is shutting down this and how, oh my gosh, how dare they do this? Oh, we're for the people. You can't fool us with that crap anymore. You have been the tyrant kings in power for so long. In the culture, you are the bullies telling us what you need to think and what you dare not say and what you, I mean, they've bullied us. And now they're trying to pretend that, oh, we're the oppressed voice of the people. No, you don't get to do that. That's not going to work, sweetheart. Your corruption is laid bare for anybody with half a brain to go actually look at it. So, yeah, it's it's so encouraging to see. It's so encouraging to see, and does make you can't help but to be a little optimistic for the future. Knowing, I mean, Trump came in and kicking butt and taking names. It's not gonna last forever. He'll get some opposition, but it's pretty sweet to deal with right now. And again, I'm just talking about the opposition to the woke, because I got people on my channel that don't necessarily politically support Trump, but they're against all the woke nonsense in Hollywood. And I don't think you can, even if you don't like whatever, Trump for this or whatever political reason, I don't think you can be against the woke nonsense in Hollywood and not see some positive traction in that direction. So, all right. So let's talk about the reviews I've got here. First thing I've got is, actually, let me get this other super chat before I jump topics here. And we can come back to all this stuff too. I just want to get the reviews in, But Studio Super, thank you so much. Said, I'm willing to bet the USAID is funding places like Disney and other companies. If they were willing to fund journalists to defend their ideas, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to imagine. Yeah, just, our campaigns in order to get media. I mean, we know that there's a, I don't know if there still is, I'm sure there still is, Planned Parenthood actually has a person who acts as the Hollywood liaison, who actively lobbies to get positive representations of abortion into films. Now, I don't care it doesn't matter whether you're for abortion or not. That shouldn't even exist. Films are storytelling there. We don't need, but see, that's an example of these positions that are out there for people wanting to politically and actively lobby Hollywood to, be on their side politically. Just let the storyteller tell their stories, So anyway, I don't have another installment in my Batman Legends of the Dark Knight this week because I just didn't get around. I've got some backlogs of some stuff I wanted to get to as well. And one thing I read this week, because they actually just reissued this. They reissued it in, I think it's a single issue form that is all inclusive. But there was a 3-part series in 1980 by Len Wein called Untold Legends of the Dark Knight. This is probably the cover you've seen a lot. Len Wein, great writer, really, really great. These characters are going to have great stories in his hands. It was a 3-part series released in 1980. So this is pre-crisis. This is, I guess it'd be Bronze Age, And the copies I have here, you see they're a little smaller than the usual comic book. This is a comic book blind bag, and here's the, they're a little smaller. Because these 3 issues I picked up in the Batman serial in 1989, the Batman brand serial that came out that was so great there for a time. These were reissued in as little freebies that you could get in the Batman cereal boxes, and that's where it's a 3-part series. But I do think they've just quite recently, like in the last week or so, DC has reissued it, and I think it only has one of these covers. It might just be this cover, but I don't know which one of these covers it is, or maybe it's that one or something. But it's just one of these covers. But my understanding is it's supposed to have all 3 issues in one, so you can go pick up, if you like what I'm saying here about this, you can go pick up the facsimile reissues of these of this 3-part series. So that's why I decided to go ahead and talk about this. I reread them, and they're so great. It really took me back, even though they were published in 1980, but I first read them, 1989-ish. And that was just the Batmania of the day. I've talked about it. I'm 10 years oldish at that point, just getting into comics because of Batmania. And there was no trouble for me as a young child to see that these were different tellings of the mythos of Batman. I mean, I read The Dark Knight Returns and didn't really care for it even then, but I liked certain inclusions of it or whatnot. And then I would watch, read something like that, and then watch, Batman 66 with Adam West and, all the different villains. And then I would read the Legends of the Dark Knight comics, and then I would read some of the other comics or whatever. I went to go see Batman 89. And I was fascinated with when the same characters would show up, the same villains, even though I knew they were different continuities. These were different tellings of the mythos. And I think that really was, between that and really watching a lot of Disney fairy tales at the time, that was one of the things that started me on my lifelong scholarship. What I ended up studying and majoring in college was the study of mythology and looking at from a storytelling perspective as well as a cultural studies perspective, how these different tellings of these characters, how they, what they tell us about the society, or the storytellers that tell them, what aspects of it are good for society and what aspects of it aren't good, for somebody's psychology and so forth. So this really was that time period, and it started for me. The reason I'm saying all that about these 3 issues is that these are supposed to be a succession of origin stories. There's one overall arc within the 3-arc issue, and that is suddenly somebody is targeting Batman. Apparently somebody who knows that he's Bruce Wayne, because certain items are going missing from the Batcave and being sent back to him. There's a bomb in the Batmobile at one point, and they're leaving these letters for him saying, "I'm going to destroy everything that you are, Batman." So somebody is targeting him, and Alfred and Robin and everyone with him there, and he's trying to find out who. So that's the overarching story of the mystery that binds these 3 comics. But within that story, they take time because Batman's having to figure out, okay, who's behind this? It's somebody who knows who I am. So you take the time, and the story takes the time to give you the little origin stories of Batman himself, of Alfred, of Robin, Commissioner Gordon, Batgirl. Who else? You meet the guy who makes the Batmobiles for him, the stunt driver, and all this stuff. Now, this is Bronze Age pre-crisis continuity, so some of the things are very different, and some of the things in this, some of it is great stuff that I wish modern day continuities would go back to, like the idea that Bruce Wayne's father was the first one who wore the Bat costume, and it was at this masquerade. That's that's something that you see in the first few pages of the first issue. That's one of the things that's stolen from the Batcave, is the first Batman costume was actually something Thomas Wayne wore to this masquerade party, and there was like a hostage situation there, and Thomas Wayne acted to kind of stop the criminals in a way, not in like a Batman hero-like way, but just in a, good citizen type way. And, so it's kind of like the first Batman in some ways, and that was a cool idea, because then you think Bruce Wayne, so many decades later, in his study that night, and he's thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to fight crime? Because he's learned, he originally wants to be a police officer, and he's learned that that's not going to work, because oftentimes the letter of the law gets in the way of the spirit of the law. The red tape would stop me from actually enacting justice or bringing criminals to justice. He's not a judge, jury, and executioner or anything. So he's thinking, how can I do this? And then he thinks along the lines of, well, maybe I should be, think about the literary figures that he's looked through time, Robin Hood and all these characters. And maybe he should be a symbol of some sort. And then the bat flies into his study, as we all know. But knowing that was, in his head already, that his father had dressed up in a bat costume one time, that just kind of helps the process along. That kind of helps him be a Robin Hood or a Zorro type character, but in the bat guise, So I like that aspect. There's another aspect when you're getting Bruce Wayne's, childhood growing up. When he's a young man, there's this detective that he really wants to work under. And he dresses up because he doesn't want to reveal his real identity as, Bruce Wayne, young heir to the millions. So he dresses up in this Robin costume, you know. So and that's in other continuities too. You might have seen that in other tellings where Bruce Wayne was actually the first Robin. It's an old Silver Age tale as well. But that's a great idea, you know, that when he's trying to find a costume for his young protege, Dick Grayson, he pulls out the very costume he wore as a child, you know, not as a child, but, you know, as a teen. So I like that idea too. Those are great. Lot of really cool aspects from these origin continuity that I think really should show up more often in modern day continuity. Some of them you might have seen here and there. A couple of them, though, are not. Some of them aren't great. Alfred's origin, you know, this is something that even goes back to the very first appearance of Alfred in Batman comics, if I'm remembering correctly, but in that he comes to an older Bruce Wayne. Like, he comes to Bruce Wayne as he's already an older, in this version, he's already with Robin and everything, with young Dick Grayson there, and he's like, oh, my father worked for your father, so I'm here to work for you. It's fascinating from a storyteller's perspective to see how stories evolve. And somebody had that idea. Okay, we need this butler there. Oh, it'd be really cool if we made his father have, you know, worked for Thomas Wayne. So now he wants to come work for Bruce Wayne. And that seems like a great idea. Maybe at the time it is. But as the mythology progresses and then someone has the idea to have Alfred, no, let Alfred himself be the one who worked for Thomas Wayne as a young man. And he sort of proxy raised Bruce, you know, with others, Leslie Tompkins and so forth. That just makes so much more sense. So by now, the time that you've got Batman out there being Batman, you've got Alfred, a real father figure there. He's been with him all of his life. That's so much stronger. That's so much better. That's an example of how things can be added to mythology over time, and people either reject it or they accept it, and it just becomes locked into the foundation of the mythology. And that pretty much is the case now with Alfred. Other changes don't work. You know, people are trying, over the last 10 years or so, people have just really tried their best to change Alfred from being a butler. There was that Beware the Batman cartoon that wanted to make him he's more like a bodyguard, you know, and then I think even the Batman movie wanted to change him into, you know, not really a butler, you know, he's just this and that. No, he's the gentleman's gentleman. He is the butler because that's the perfect bridging of the gap between Bruce Wayne, billionaire playboy, philanthropist, businessman, and the Dark Knight detective. You know, I mean, and Alfred there is kind of in the in-between space there as the old MI6 agent, and yet the gentleman's gentleman, you know. He's perfect for that, you know, so you don't mess with things like that. But it's a solid story. I love the ending. I won't give away the ending because that's just great. I will show you some of the art, maybe from the first issue. It's Jim Aparo, and I think Jim Aparo and was it? Let me see. Somebody else did. I forget the name of it. Jim Aparo ends up taking over all the art, but John Byrne and Jim Aparo are the artists at first. I think John Byrne and Jim Aparo inks the first issue or something like that, but then the second and third issue is just Jim Aparo altogether. And they're proper comic books, even though the versions I've got are smaller because they were made to fit into a cereal box. But it's really great. Like, that is the image of the Batman universe I love. I love that bat costume, the nice long ears. I like that that art style. I hate what artists are doing today with their stupid little expressionist, you know, art, and sometimes it gets cutesy and it's just like all flattened and it's just, ugh, I hate that. I mean, even that cover, that's just great stuff. That is dynamic shot. You've got it's just perfect. So the art's wonderful. And the story is solid. I mean, it's really great. The ending is so cool. I want to talk about the ending and kind of analyze it, but I don't want to give it away for you because, like I said, you can go out and buy these right now. You can buy it all in one issue, I think. Just look for Untold Legend of the Batman, and DC has reissued it. I forget which of these covers is on it, but it's Len Wein Untold. It's a new facsimile reissue that they did. So it's really great stuff. I recommend this run. Whether you go and find it used somewhere, you know, with the 3 issues like I have, or if you go get the new facsimile issue, it's sweet. It's awesome. So that's my first review. Definitely recommend that. Let me check into I missed one super chat while I was prattling on there. Yes. Isaiah Parks. Thank you for the super chat, Isaiah. Appreciate it. So did you hear about the Terrifier director being attacked for not injecting politics into his films? No. What is the Terrifier? I didn't even, I'm so unplugged from modern movies and culture that I don't even know what things are coming up about Oh, this was 10 years, or no, this is 2016 filmed. Oh, it's a horror film. Yeah, that's why I haven't heard about it. I'm really unplugged from horror films, just because it's not my thing. Nothing against the genre. I like monster movies, good classic monster movies, definitely a good vampire film and stuff. But oh, that's the one with the clown. Is that it? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I've seen that clown. Yeah, Hollywood. Okay, so I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, it's just me not being plugged into horror. No, I didn't hear anything about that. But so he's attacked for not injecting politics into his films. I don't doubt it. I mean, that's, the woke are bullies. The woke. Sorry, I saw the screen freeze. I wanted to make sure I get this through. The woke have this narrative that they're on the side of the oppressed and they're here trying to help people and they're just so compassionate and empathetic. No, the woke are bullies. They are bullies, and they're going to come in and they're going to smack you around and try to impose all these sanctions on you unless you think the way they want you to think, unless you make sure you have the opinions that they want you to have, and all of this garbage. And so, yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all that you said the director of The Terrifier, Art the Clown, Electric Barbarilla, thank you, that's the name of his character. He's being attacked for not injecting enough politics. Oh, yeah, they'll do that in a heartbeat. They've been doing it in all kinds of art forms. It's for a while, anybody with just common sense, heaven forbid, conservative politics, for a while they could exist in popular entertainment industries or fields as long as they just kind of kept their head down, shut up, and just did their thing. But then it became like any other tyrannical regime. No, we must see you, I must see you actively hate this people group, or I must, like in a tyrannical regime. No, now it's, I must see you actively tell people that they should let their children mutilate their genitals. I must see you actively tell people that, whatever, that issue. So they're bullies. Yeah, they'll come after you. And that's why there's just no reason not to take a stand against them. Let them spit and pull their little hissy fits all they want, and they'll do it, but they're losing power left and right, and it's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to see. It makes me happy every day waking up into this country. Stephen and the left to the conservatives, kneel before Zod. No, thank you. Didn't realize it, but we switched. We switched the fortress. Now you have no power. All right. Let me get through my second, excuse me, my second review here in a moment. See another super chat from Studio Super. Thank you. Said, we're on the side of the oppressed. They can no longer say that after the oppressed has had the full weight of the government. Exactly. Spreading their cult worldwide at the expense of we the people. Yeah, I remember seeing, this was, I think this was in the aughts, the 2000s. There was a BBC show called Coupling, or Couples, or something like that. I think it was Coupling. It was like it was kind of like a precursor for Friends, or maybe it was inspired by Friends. I forget exactly how it worked, but it was a BBC show. You'd catch it on BBC America. Very funny, very smartly written. And there's this one guy who apparently was with conservative politics in England there, and the conservative party in England at the time, it was the aughts, I think, had just lost power. Like the new prime minister of the Liberal Party, and this girl wanted to date him because she heard he was very well endowed or something like that. So she's dating him because she's hoping that she'll get invited back to his home and see how well endowed he is or whatever. But she's having to hear him, with all of his conservative politics, and she's hating it, and she's so mad, and she's trying to argue a little bit. And then he has a friend there with him too, and he's like, "Oh wait, but no, we're the minorities now. Don't oppress us, because that's just the woke love to play that game. Oh, we're the oppressed. We're on the side of the underdog. You've been in power. You've held the kingdom for how long? You don't get to play that game anymore." All right. Let's move on to this next review I have. You guys might know of this channel. When I'm playing video games and stuff like that, if I'm just kind of vegging out and there's a spot in the game where it's just sort of grinding, like in Mass Effect 2 when I was just going around farming the different planets, for resources. Or if I'm playing Witcher and I'm just going around trying to, gather goods or whatever, or resources and this and that, just kind of grinding or killing enemies, trying to level up or something. sometimes I'll play a YouTube video on in the back just to hear something going on while I'm just, playing and hanging out. And I like different YouTube videos, like, history stuff. Sometimes I watch religious videos, but I also like videos about old films and old books and things like that, things that I'm looking to discover to turn around and give you guys reviews of. And there's this one channel which I caught on to as really interesting. Good Bad Flicks is the name of the channel. I'm sure some of you guys know it. And he does different periods or movements in film over the last decades or whatever, or television too, that are kind of seen as sort of B-level content, but he looks for like gems within it, or good writing within these bad films. So Good Bad Flicks is the name of the channel, and he's got some interesting things, and he covers everything. He did a great video on herxploitation, shows that were trying to be like the Hercules 90s show and stuff, and you develop, or it'll remind me of things that I forgot about that show or that movie. I never really caught that back in the day. Sometimes though, and I'll just set his videos to play, like, autoplay while I'm, playing a game or something. Sometimes he'll go and do videos on, like some of the late night Showtime or Skinamax, movies, which is fascinating. It's fascinating because he's saying that, this is a genre in which you've got the companies and the studios are saying, yeah, whatever, make sure you got this many sex scenes of this many minutes long in each episode or each movie or whatever. But then you've got some storytellers within that field who are actually trying to tell somewhat of a decent story, even within this softcore porn, genre that it is. I'm always fascinated by that kind of situation, because I did a lot of study of pulp fiction back in the day in my own schooling and whatnot. And I thought that was so fascinating in the 20s and 30s, where, especially during the Depression and whatnot, you had a lot of artists and writers who just couldn't get work. And these were very skilled painters and writers. And some of the jobs they could get were like in the pulps, writing for the little pulp magazines, and it, paid little of whatever. They were trying to make money. So they were having to meet certain conventions of pulp fiction, especially some of the racier, saucier magazines and whatnot. And yet here they are still trying to create something of substance, because it's who they are as artists or writers or whatever. So I'm always fascinated by that kind of setup and some of the work that can be done in it. So videos are playing, and then in one of these videos he starts talking about this show, which was apparently it's not too far back in his video log. You can go look at Good Bad Flicks, and it's not too far back. It's called Forbidden Science. Apparently, I think it was a Skinamax show back in the day, towards the end of that, because like once internet porn became a thing, apparently Skinamax and all those late night softcore shows just kind of, dissipated on the cable channels. So it was like in the last phase of that. But he started talking about it, and he said that it was written, kind of created by this guy named Doug Brody. And the more I heard about this guy, Doug Brody, and the ideas he had, and, just from watching this YouTube video, I was like, man, that sounds really cool. I love his style. And then he went on to do some different things, apparently. Now, he did this show. Apparently it lasted one season, called Forbidden Science. Today, the ideas might seem, maybe they're kind of overdone at this point or whatever, but back then it was the first time people were talking about, cloning and synthetic beings, not the first time they were talking about it, but that first wave of it within the new, century and whatnot. And he had this whole story about it, and it sounded really interesting. And apparently even the Doug Brody himself and the producers and whatnot, even they were kind of frustrated somewhat at having to let the writing and having to let the story kind of crunch under this, the studios or the network's demand for, you got to have you got to have so many sex scenes, and they got to be of this length in every episode. And it was to the point where it's like, at some point, it's like, all right, so these two characters come in, say, hi, honey, I'm home. And then they're going to have sex for 10 minutes, and then we can get on with the plot, And I thought that was just funny. Apparently one of the producers actually made an edit that it's not released. I wish it'd be released, because then I could finally watch the show, because I'm not interested in watching porn, softcore, or whatever. I just don't care. I'm not going to do that. But the idea of the story sounded so good, and apparently one of the producers actually cut an edit of the show just so they could have it for their own, satisfaction of knowing, hey, we at least created some good storytelling here, where they cut down the sex to only where it was, a logical thing for these two characters or whatever. It was all the gratuitous stuff was kind of cut down, and I wish that was released somehow. But anyway, the story sounded awesome, so I went and looked up online the synopsises. of each episode. And I'm still not getting the full story, but it gave me enough to know that's a really cool idea. And Doug Brody, the writer behind it, is apparently, he was a big X-Files fan. So I started looking up some of his stuff, and he eventually moved over to just writing novels. Because, you know, rightly so, I imagine this is really frustrating if you're a writer and you write all these cool screenplays and you sell them to different companies, you know, networks or production companies who option it for a film. Well, just because a company buys your screenplay doesn't mean that they're going to make a movie of it. They just have the right to make a movie of it. You've been paid. You sit down, shut up. You don't get to have anything to do with the story anymore. We have the right to make a movie of this if we want. More often than not, it's going to get buried in a slush pile somewhere, and your work is just never seen by anybody, you know? So he said instead of doing that, he wanted to just write novels, because at least he could publish the novels, get them out there, and have readers and see his content. He's done a series of, I don't know anything about these novels. Alien Invasion, I think it is. Alien Stories of Some Which Way. Let me look up his website and show you. I haven't read these yet, but I don't think I've got his... hang on a second. Should have pulled this up. Don't want to buy the book from a retailer right now. I just want to look up his website. I don't know. Hang on, I'm going to find this. This ticks me off. Hate not being able to find something when you need it at that moment's notice there. Going on his Facebook, he's got some links to where you can buy the book and stuff. Nope. Bro, where's your email? Where's your webpage? This will obviously be cut out of my review when I cut this all out. Alright, I can't see it. Alien Sky, though. This is his, I'll share this anyway. This is his, these are the books, Alien Sky. I think Alien Sky Publishing, maybe that's his name of his publishing company. The Ship's Revenge, Children of the Ship. So he's, you know, got these sort of X-Files like novels. I haven't read those. The one that I am going to talk to you about, though, today is Shelly. This is freaking awesome. And this is the novel that I want to recommend to you. Really good stuff here. I bought it from his website, which you can find just on the spot here. I can't find it right there, but you can buy it from his website, and it's signed. I was so because as I ordered it, the synopsis sounded really cool. It's about this sort of a cyberpunk future in which synthetics, you know, androids, are operating. Of course, they're sex bots, they're house cleaning bots, they're all kind of, you know, synthetics for all sort of different roles. And Shelly is a synthetic who is working with the Department of Homeland Security to hunt down crimes when synthetics go rogue, when a synthetic kills a person or something like that. All right, so that sounded like a great premise. I knew I liked his style, you know, from reading the synopsis of the episodes of Forbidden Science, so I wanted to give it a chance. So I ordered it, the hard copy, online, but then I just started listening to it on Audible, because it's on Audible as well. It's really great on Audible. There's a great reading of it and everything, and it was so cool. And then I got the cover, and it's signed. He's, what do you say? Thank you for your good support. This is one of my favorites. I hope you love Shelly as much as I do. The envelope it came in, it's like his, you know, handwriting there in the return address and everything. So I thought it was great. And it's a solid story. It's, you know, it's not breaking ground that's never been considered before. It's not, you know, ideas that has never been, you know, covered before in these kinds of stories with synthetics or cyberpunk tales of the future. But it's a solid story with characters that you enjoy hanging out with. It's a real challenging story. You don't know how it's going to end because, as you know, with cyberpunk, it can get neo-noir at some time. You don't know who's going to survive, who's not. This is all kind of stuff. And I think the biggest thing I can say about this work, and I look forward to reading his Ship series because I hope that it translates into those works as well. You can tell this is written by somebody who loves what he's writing. He loves the art of storytelling. He loves writing stories. He's not doing it because he needs to meet a deadline. He's got to get this book out for that franchise so he can move on to the next franchise book so he can pay his bills. This is somebody who wrote because he loves writing. This is somebody who writes this cyberpunk, synthetic, futuristic kind of story because he likes that content. That just shines through on every page. It really does. There were no real pacing issues in the story. He does one thing occasionally in this book, which normally I don't like. I think it's normally overdone. It's a way to kind of pad out books, but it actually makes sense in the story he had here, in which, you see something happen, and then you're in this one character's perspective for this one chapter, and this thing happens, or maybe this person dies there, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then the next chapter is, now let me tell you what was happening there from a different character's perspective. Usually I hate that because it's a way for, franchise writers just to kind of pad out their books. It made sense for him to do it here, though, because there are so many strings that are being pulled behind the scenes. That because of this world that he set up, that, this character explodes and you're like, all right, what really was going on with that? So you're actually looking forward to getting the happenings of it from another perspective. So the only critical thing I can say about this book, and I'm not holding it up as, the greatest piece of American literature ever written. I'm just saying it's a really fun book, and I recommend it to people who like this kind of genre. It's just, you're going to love it. It's great. It's well told. It's well written. It's a good, solid story. The only critical thing I can say about it is that, let's see, it was written, when was it written? What year did you put this out? It's a little old at this point, I think. No, it's just published in 2024. Is it that new? I thought from the Good Bad Flicks channel, when it mentioned some of these books he was writing, that this one was a little older. Maybe this is a new edition written in 2024. I don't know. Anyway, it's set up perfectly for a sequel at the end, and I haven't heard any rumblings of a sequel. So he says Shelley's his favorite. You need to write another book then, because this was great. I would read another book in the series in a heartbeat. And the ending's it's a good conclusion to the arc. It's a good, solid story arc. You're not left wondering anything, but it just sets things up the way this conflict ended and everything, and the resolutions and everything. It sets up a whole new dynamic that would be really cool to go follow a story with that in. So I hope this ends up being like a trilogy or something, like apparently the ship stories are. But I'll check out those next and see if those meet the same kind of level of just fun reading. They're really great. So I recommend that. Shelly by Doug Brody. I will get the link and everything and have it in this video when I cut it out as its own just, review video. So wanted to put that out there. All right. See what you guys have been saying about these. I like cyberpunk. I really do. Sometimes it can get a little just dark for the sake of being dark, but man, Neuromancer, that blew me away. I love Neuromancer, reading that. It definitely got there was just a wave and influx of super socio-political nonsense that got pushed into the stories. And the genre itself is ripe for sort of that kind of thing to emerge organically, depending on the story. But, it got pushed in from the outside ideologically a lot. And, yeah. But a good cyberpunk story, I love it. I'm good for that kind of genre. All right. Yeah, you guys are talking about good old classic HBO and stuff. Yeah, HBO is that was what gave us Tales from the Crypt, wasn't it? Wasn't that HBO? I think so. No, I never played. AL's asking me if I ever played the Cyberpunk video game. It looked interesting at first. Then I saw some gameplay, and it looked like it was first-person perspective. I hate first-person perspective games. I've talked about it before. I just hate it because it is. It tries to pretend that you're that character, and seeing that character. It tries to pretend that you're that character. You're seeing through that character's eyes. That's a cool idea if you were in like virtual reality or something. But you're watching that person's perspective on a flat screen like 10 feet away from you. So it's very limiting. You're supposed to be trying to feel like you're that person, but you can only see. I mean, imagine putting like this around your eyeballs and imagine that's all you could see. That's how it feels. So I much prefer games where the camera's behind the main character. Preferably a little ways behind the main character because I like to see the world that I'm operating in and stuff. So I didn't play it because of that right away, but then I heard all of the people were saying, oh, it's actually they're a lot, it's kind of buggy and there weren't that many great things, or there was problems with it. I don't know. So I just never picked it up. Maybe at one point when it gets like super cheap, I'll pick it up just to see what the buzz is about. But I like the concept, and it was what's the company that, they just done Witcher 3, so I mean they of course now with the talks about what they're coming up with the next Witcher game, it looks like it's going to be super a bunch of woke nonsense pushed into it. So I don't know if they can be trusted. I even the Ghostbusters video game, which I love, which was like 2013 or something, was it? I forget exactly when it first came out. They did a remaster reissue of it. Love that game, but even that, the camera's too close to the main character's head for my taste. I'll still play it. I still love the story and I still love playing it, but if I had my my way with it, I wouldn't be able to push the camera back a little bit. All right. So listen, virtual reality with motion movement. I think it will change the lifestyle. Virtual reality would be cool. The only thing they're not going to be able to get around, I don't know how they'll get around with this. I don't really see a way of them getting around this unless they're starting to like chip into people's brains. But with virtual reality, your inner ear isn't going to be responding in the same way. You get dizzy. Like I've tried, now granted, I don't have an Oculus. I haven't tried the most recent, the newest VR gaming stuff that they have. But anytime I've ever tried a little, this or that, like with a Meta something, or a little video where you put the little goggles on or something, I always get really dizzy. Not the dizziness I've been dealing with here, but because it's, your inner ear's not matching up with, or your physical body's not doing what you see you're doing, when you're trying to move around or stuff like that, So some people are going to be more sensitive to that than others. But I think they need to have, for VR to really take off and become like the new wave and the mainstream of gaming and stuff like that, I think they'll have to address that somehow. And I'm not smart enough to know how to do that. So. Elfrunner, you said you had the 2 copies of the game. Are there any differences in the 2 copies? Because I only have the remaster and I love it. But, a lot of times the remaster ends up taking away some cool stuff that was in the original game, or it just looks better in the original. Like when they took the Batman Arkham games and remastered those, it was like Arkham Revisited. It was uglier, like everything's so much brighter, and you can, because everybody's obsession with 4K and I want to see all of the stuff on the screen. It's like, no, the originals were much more noir. You had deep shadows and you couldn't make out everything, and that was part of the charm of the game. So I'm wondering if maybe anything was like that with the. Okay, you said they took out some of Vigo's lines. Really interesting. Leah Plus Size says, Professor Geek, Kevin Feige says he's going to fix the MCU, but the only thing I see is him finding better ways to hide the woke, so he has not changed. Well, that's the thing. They won't fix anything. They'll either super double down on DEI and shove it in your face, well, this is a good thing, you stupid troglodyte, this is a good thing. Or they'll say, well, maybe we went a little far, but, we'll get some good films out there. And when they do that, that's even more dangerous, because all they're going to do is, as you said, Leah Plus, that they're just going to find better ways of hiding it. And, let Hydra grow again within the corners and the shadows until they can, take things over again and shove it in your face every which way. And I don't see how anybody can even remotely give Kevin Feige any trust ever again. That was the biggest betrayal. And I don't know exactly what was going on behind the scenes, but for the longest time, Kevin Feige behind that first wave of Marvel films, even the first wave of Marvel films had some people, hardcore Marvel fans, oh, it shouldn't have been like that, whatever. But that was like, you for most of us, we felt like this is great. This is heroes being treated like they should be treated. They weren't the most perfect films ever, but it was just a great cinematic, and we're like, who is, piloting this cinematic universe and doing so well at it, and it's really all working together and it's gearing up towards something. And that was the most epic flip you off, slap you in the face betrayal ever towards the end of that whole movement, with Captain Marvel and Endgame. And Kevin Feige did that. He did that. Whether he was always wanting to do that and he was held back by other forces, or whether he was made to do that in the end, whatever, his name is mud to me now. I wouldn't trust that man or any of the garbage films he's trying to put out there now. And I think you should really raise your eyebrow at any channel that tries to, well, let's give this a chance now. Or let's review every episode of this now. It's like, no, that's over. That's over. He's shown his true colors. He's not coming back. He's not coming back and earning any trust from me. Studio Super, thank you very much for the super chat there. Said Feige said the Fantastic Four was getting too white, and so that's why he hired Pedro. Wow. And then there's the woman Silver Surfer casting. Oh yeah, I forgot because she didn't show up in that first trailer, I think, so maybe that's why people aren't talking about her. The movie is doomed. Dr. Doom is sitting back laughing. Yeah, I was thinking about it today. I'm tired of pretending that I need to think certain people's opinions are valid. Now, everybody has a right to their own opinion, okay? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, but I don't need to treat your opinion as valid. I have a right to not treat your opinion as valid. I have that right. Stop trying to take that right from me. And so people are like, well, I think it might be okay. Okay, that's good. That's your opinion, and it's a bad opinion, and I don't want to be around that opinion. And I have a right to not like your opinion and not want to be around it. I have every right. But people are like, oh, you can't say somebody has bad taste. Why not? Why not? Stop it. Yeah, you got bad taste if you like these movies, and I don't want to be around you. And I have that right. So stop it. Anyway. Another soapbox. Yeah, I lost so much respect. Like, I'll always love, that first Avengers movie. That's just classic. It's one of my favorite movies. I just think it's such great storytelling, and I love the performances in those movies. But I have lost absolutely all respect whatsoever for all of the actors that played in it. Like, RDJ was like, oh, he's great. I'm going to check out something that he's in. Once upon a time, I felt like that. No. They're all 100% lockstep with the woke ideology. The way Chris Evans has treated fans on Twitter, continuously. All these actors are just horrible people. They don't care about their fans. They only want their fans if they agree to think the right things and agree to have the right opinions with them. They don't think we have a right to different opinions, right? It's one thing. You can not like my opinion. You can not want to be around. But if you're an actor and you need me to come support your movies, then you might want to shut up about that. You don't have to hang out with me. You don't want to call me names if you want me to come see your movie. And, all of the actors of the Avengers cast, they all got together before the election and they were doing these videos to support Kamala Harris. Just unheard of nonsense. Like, that's, you would never see that until, this century. It's just crappy. Anyway. All right. So I'm probably... Normally in about 10 minutes I would wrap up, but I'm probably going to wrap things up a little bit now just so I can not overdo it with myself and give myself some time to sit back and relax a bit. Yeah, these actors aren't doing much after the MCU. Yeah, they once they let that cash cow implode, they're not doing much else. AL says, I don't mind other people's bad taste. If I distance myself from everyone with bad taste, I won't have anyone to hang out with. See, that's the difference between you and me. I am, as I've said before, I'm the most introverted person I can imagine. I've ever met. I've never met somebody more introverted than me. Sound Engraver, thankfully, is very introverted too. That's why we, get along so well. But even Sound Engraver, she's like, a lot of people, Sound Engraver's like this too, and this was just making me think about this, how introverted I am. Most people, when they read something, or they're watching something, they're listening to something, they like to go talk about it. They like to go talk about it with somebody. And it's fun to talk to people that like the same things that you do. There's kind of camaraderie there. But also, too, if you're listening to videos or reading some books or whatever of these ideas, for a lot of people, talking to somebody about these ideas helps them process it. Helps them, let me tell you what I'm thinking, and then that kind of helps them figure out what they're thinking. And there's a lot of people like that. Sound Engravers like that. For example, when we talk about the topics we're gonna use for streaming that week, it really helps Sound Engraver a lot to tell me about what she wants to stream about, because in talking and saying it out loud, she kind of orders her thoughts and she kind of processes it and then she gets it ready. If I were to tell her everything that I think about that I want to stream, I've already, in telling her what I wanted to talk about, I will have expended my social energy that I had in reserve for that topic. So I'll be done talking about it and I won't want to come talk about it on stream. I watch things and read things all the time, and I just like to sit down and think about it by myself and process it, or maybe I'll journal about it a little bit or something. And if I think, if I kind of process it to a point, maybe I'll do a video on it or something, but I don't need to go tell people about it. I don't need to go talk to people about it. And it's not a weakness or a strength. It's just, that's how introverted I am. I am so introverted. Of course, if you really need a lot of people around you, then you're going to need to be more flexible and pliable with your toleration of their bad opinions. So I get that. But also you say I'm in New York City. You know where we are. Super chat here. Studio Super for $9.99. Thank you so much. Said, though, if this was a better era, I would have found it exciting, the Fantastic Four up against Superman in July. Oh, yeah. I mean, could you imagine in the 2000s if this was happening? A Fantastic Four movie that was really trying to look like the comics, and a Superman movie that was, saying it was trying to be hopeful anyway or whatever. I mean, yeah, if it was a different era and people working on it that actually appreciated the characters and the mythos, man, it'd be wonderful. But it's tragic. That's the tragedy of the entertainment age we live in. Yeah, it's a good point. Yes, you are right, Achol. Valentine's Day is Friday. Of course, my dear sound engraver is going to be working most of the day, so I already got the Valentine's gifts ready for her, and we'll probably have to celebrate our Valentine's Day that weekend. But on Friday, I think I'm going to take my daughter out for a little daddy-daughter Valentine's Day dinner or something. Yes, Mr. Demon, we did get Superman Returns, which I think, as we said before, after Man of Steel, a lot of us went back to Superman Returns and said, let's just be thankful for what we got there. Because it was the wrong move in a lot of ways for a Superman movie, but there's a lot of great things in that movie too. So it's kind of one of those, Of course, gifts, my dear sound engraver. I'm not going to let Valentine's Day go by and not get you anything. My goodness. She said, my husband spoils me. All right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up now, so I can go rest and hopefully stave off any coming dizziness. But thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. It was a great stream. Didn't know how long we were going to go, especially with only 2 reviews, but we got through those and got a lot of conversation going on, talking about some topics. So that was a lot of fun. Appreciate it as usual. I'll be cutting out some of these as videos. Oh, I do want to try, because I've got a 4-day weekend this weekend because of the universities I teach. They're having like an assessment day, and some of the classes are canceled and stuff like that. So I actually have a 4-day weekend. So I'm going to do another comic book shop trip. Probably Monday I'll record it, so it should be out Tuesday. So I'm going to do another long box deep dive at the comic shop and record myself with that. So we'll have another video of those coming this week as well. Don't forget, you can still check out my short reads on Amazon, and you don't have to have an Amazon Kindle to read these. Whether you have a Droid, an iPhone, or just a computer, there's a Kindle app, a Kindle Reader app, which is free. You just get that from your app store, whichever one you have, and you can read. And you really should. I recommend getting it anyway, not just for my books, but for you can get a lot of great free reads sometimes on Kindle, or free comics even sometimes. And even if you're like me and you prefer to have a good physical media in your hands, sometimes things aren't released in any other way. So like my little short reads right now, my short stories in the Objects of Desire series are just released right now on Amazon as e-reads, short reads, e-reads. And eventually, a year or so down the road, I might put them all together as a hard copy for somebody to buy. But for right now, you can check them out. Like I said, you don't have to have a Kindle, but the link is in the description. I think I put the link there to get to my author page on Amazon. The first short read installment of my Heroic Inspirations, I took that book that was published before, but the publisher went out of business, so I've revamped it, revised it and whatnot, and I'm putting out the first edition of that at the end of this month. So that's going to be available there as well. And then, after a couple of years, when I put out all the different, blurbs of that and all the different sections of it, I might re-release that as a hard copy, but you can get it now from Amazon. So just reminding you of that. Link is in the description. And yep, until next time, keep enjoying. And oh wait, is there another super chat here that I missed? Is there one more? Let me see. says I've got a super chat. Let me check. Let me just do one more pass through of the fan-funded comments there on YouTube, just so I make sure I didn't miss anybody here. Before I go, I was all ready to sign off. Had it all ready there. Come on, load up. All right. Yep, I did miss one. It was Studio Super's there. I figured it was missing. Studio Super for $4.99 said, I do like Chicla's The Thing. Oh, yeah. Chiklis is the actor who played the Thing in Fantastic Four. Yeah, best thing in those films. He sounds and behaves like the character. Yeah, I didn't really. I think I watched that old Fantastic Four film maybe once. Didn't even catch the second one, so I'd have to go back and rewatch those because I've heard some people say they like this or that aspects of them and whatnot. I was never a Marvel guy, so even though I like the Fantastic Four cartoon, I never really was to go, All right, now I can take off. Thank you guys for your time tonight and your comments and your support. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the true blue hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.